Dun 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 dun. Capnclyde's MTG spoilers. We're back, friends. Please put your tray tables and your chairs in the fully upright and locked position as we are taking off for spoiler season on Modern Horizons 2. This is your captain speaking. And before we get started, remember to like, subscribe, put some messages down there in the comment for that algorithm engine. Let it get a chewing. And tell your friends and family, hit the notification bell so you can see these when they first come up because I'll post them as soon as I can when I have the information for you. Now, with all that said, guys, let's get into these Modern Horizon 2 spoilers. Boy, we cannot wait. First thing we'll start with some commons. We have bottle gnomes that say 4 colorless, 3/3 with trample, and when they die, you gain life equal to their power. Pretty sweet. Kind of reminds me of Rock'em Sock'em Robots up in now. Rock'em Sock'em in the house. So, move on to the next one. Our next one here we have is prismatic ending. It's a white and X. It has converge. It says exile target non-land permanent if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. So it's a sorcery for one. That's a downside. It is a good removal card. I could see this. Excuse me. Being really good in draft, but for 3 mana you can kill anything if it's a white and 2 other mana. But it is a sorcery. You could probably just use a Vindicate and kill many things that are even more value than just 3. So I don't see this making a big impact in Modern, just really in Draft. Next we have the Universal Automaton. So 1 colorless, 1/1 changeling. Uncommon. Not impressed. But who knows? Maybe there'd be something you can do with this thing. Next we have the fairies here for 1 blue. It's a 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you get to scry 2. Yawn. But fine for draft. Probably a really good draft card. Next we have Break Ties. White, 2 colorless, choose 1, destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment, or exile a card from a graveyard. It has Reinforce 1, which is for 1 white. You can discard the card and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Seems like just a worse disenchant. Now, disenchant does take 2. This may be good depending on exiling target card from a graveyard, depending on what kind of graveyard shenanigans is going on. Probably really great in draft. But for 3 mana, I don't think this is really going to be a big thing in Modern. Unless this kind of choice of artifact enchantment or graveyard removal becomes a very serious necessity in a white deck. So moving on, next we have Torok's Canticle. Not Tentacle, Canticle. Anyway, so for a black and 3 colorless, you get to have your opponent reveal their hand. You choose a card from it, and then that player discards that card, then discards a card at random. So for 4 mana, they discard 2 cards, but you get to pick one, and the other one's at random. Fine for draft. For 4 mana, this thing is not seeing Modern play, just because it's way too bad. Costs way too much. By the time they get this thing on the out and ready to play, their hand's probably going to be empty anyway. Yeah, you notice down there it says the same hymn to Turok, sang to praise the Ebon Praetor. This is no hymn to Turok by any stretch of the imagination, so I wouldn't expect to see this do anything. Next we have Lucid Dreams. The days of college and shrooms. Anyway, so for 2 blue and 3 colorless, it's a sorcery. You draw X cards, where X is the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. Goes great with that Tarmogoyf everybody's been sporting. Unfortunately, it's 5 mana. So once again, maybe something good in draft. I could see it being really cool. However, in Modern, 5 mana, you might as well just run some big nappy creature. I just don't see this thing doing anything for Modern. Moving on. Alright, next we have Spreading Insurrection for a red and 4 colorless. It's a sorcery. We gain control of target creature you don't control in the turn. Untap the creature, gains haste. So it's basically a creature steal and hit him in the face. But this one has Storm on it. Dun 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 dun. Storm has returned. And it's returned in a sad way. Because after 5 mana, you're not going to be stealing anything. You'd be lucky to cast this thing with any Storm on the field. Not to mention the fact that it doesn't sacrifice him, it doesn't do anything. You just get to hit him in the face with it, and then that's the end of the story. Probably be good in draft, but as far as Modern goes, once again, 5 mana, doesn't matter, no good. Next, so here we have late to dinner. 1 white, 3 colorless. Sorcery, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield and create a food token. So basically, this is Resurrection. except it's 1 white and 3 instead of 2 white and 2. And you get to create a food token. And apparently it's a common. And apparently it's busted as all get out. But it is 4 mana, so in Modern this is really too high or too much of a cost to use, so it might not see play. But you'll notice that this card frame here, this is one of their sketch cards. This is really what the card looks like, guys. This is what you're going to see when you open the packs. We watched a video, or I made a video the other day you guys got to watch. It talked about what cards in what patch, and I mentioned full art cards, sketch cards, foils. These are your sketch cards. So this is what you're going to see in those sketch slots. And then there's also the MH1 retro cards, where the cards will be in the old border frame from back in Magic's nostalgia days. So I also mentioned Dungeons and Dragons in that video, just so you guys know. Go take a look at it. Basically, take these sketch cards out and replace these sketch cards with these sketch cards from Dungeons and Dragons. And to be honest with you, the Dungeons & Dragons will probably have retro frames as well, so you could probably use that same table for the Dungeons & Dragons set when it comes out. And that's just me taking a wild guess at it. So, moving on. Squirrels on parade. Squirrels on parade. That's right, guys. Your new and your favorite Squirrel Tribal is arrived. So we start with Squirrel Sanctuary for 1 green. You get a 1/1 green squirrel creature token when it enters the battlefield. Whenever a creature you control dies, that's a non-token, you can pay 1 colorless, pick up this enchantment, and put it in your hand. That means you get to play it again and get another squirrel. You can't pick it up from tokens, but you can pick it up from anything else. So, not the greatest thing in the world. It is just an uncommon, but still 1 green for a 1/1. Don't seem too bad, plus it's an enchantment. As we continue our squirrels on parade, we have the Ravenous Squirrel. So this thing's a black and a colorless. I'm sorry, a black or a green. Is a regular squirrel, uncommon. It's a 1/1. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact or creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Ravenous Squirrel, which is just awesome for a 1-mana creature. Plus, it has a built-in ability for you to sacrifice an artifact or creature, that's anything, and you gain a life and draw a card. This thing just seems bonkers good. Like, this thing just says modern powerhouse. And I know you guys are going to laugh at me for that. But, like, these are, like, if this wasn't a squirrel, like, these abilities for 1 mana, just, yeah, good stuff. And in draft, this thing is going to be a beast. So as we continue our squirrels on parade, we have the sovereign, or squirreler sovereign. Anyway, so it's a squirrel noble. It is a green and a colorless for a 2/2 squirrel lord. That's right, other squirrels you control get +1/+1. Can I have 4 in the deck? Squirrel Tribal has arrived, my friends. Be afraid. Next, we have the Squirrel Mob. 2 green, 1 colorless for a 2/2, where the Squirrel Mob gets +1/+1 for each other squirrel on the battlefield. This and a Sovereign makes this thing a 4-mana 4/4. Tasty. And now, for your viewing pleasure, the Mythic Squirrel. That's right, 20 some odd years in the making, so they say. It's Chatterfang, the Squirrel General. A green and 2 colorless for a 3/3 squirrel. Legendary creature Squirrel Warrior. Just seems like a badass. So it has Forest Walk. We haven't had this on a card in forever. It has a Land Walk type. Plus, if you have 1 or more tokens that would be created under your control, those tokens get created, plus you make that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens also. So if you made 7 1/1 white humans, you also would make 7 1/1 white humans and 7 1/1 green squirrels. God, does that seem good. And then you can sacrifice squirrels to give target creature +X -X till end of turn. So either you can pump a big creature to give it extra damage, or use it to take down the defense of a creature the opponent controls and kill it, even if it's indestructible. This thing seems like a powerhouse. I think this is going to be worth a lot of money. Just for the coolness factor, EDH players eating it up. Just, yeah, it's a legendary squirrel warrior. Who wouldn't want one? So, away from squirrels, we will move on to the fractured sanity, which is what happens after all the squirrels get a hold of you. So this is, once again, is another sketch card. You can see it's a rare here. 3 blue. Each opponent mills 14 cards. Once again, another card that I think all the EDH players are going to love to play, just to piss off their friends and lose family members as people who will never play cards with you again as you play these things. But anyway, Also, this thing has cycling of a blue and a colorless. When you cycle it, you still get to draw a card, and each opponent mills 4 cards. What this says to me is, hey, look what I pulled in my draft pack. I win the draft. Because if they're playing 14 cards, 7 of them is in their open hand, that leaves them 33, and then you mill 14 of them, that's almost over, that's over half their deck. If you have another one of these and mill another 14, the game will probably end before they can even get anything on the table. So, just what we need in life. Something else to break up friendships and cause family members to hate each other. So moving on, we have the new swords. We have the Sword of Truth and Justice. 3 colorless sword, equips for 2 like normal. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has protection from white and blue. And whenever the equipped creature deals damage to a player, play a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, and then proliferate. Wah, wah. So this is not the powerhouse that we were waiting for or looking for. I'm sure in the right deck this is still going to be a good card, but I don't see this being a very overpowering sword, especially in Modern. Now, maybe EDH can drive the price up for this because that proliferate +1/+1 counters and proliferate could get out of hand, especially for a sword. So, moving on next, we have Hall of Helios Generosity. Yep, we have a reprint, guys. Add 1 colorless for a white and a colorless. You can put target enchantment card from your graveyard on top of your library. Helios a douche. Anyway, moving on, we have to wonder who. Do. Anyway, so it is Wander, guys. We have Wander back, which means we might have an incarnation uh, theme in this set as well. This one's a rare. It's a blue and 3 colorless. It says Wander is a 2/2 flyer for 4, which is about on par for the old days. And as long as it's in your graveyard and you control an island, all creatures you control have flying. So if you guys remember back in the day, there was Wonder and Anger, and there's a green one. Forget what it is. I'm sure they're probably all going to be in this set. Some of them are rather pricey because they have great effects. So pretty happy to see this get reprinted. I hope it means that we're going to get all the incarnations that have these effects and deal with them. So as we move on again, we have another blue one. It's called Ryzen Shine. For a blue and a colorless, we have a sorcery. Target creature artifact, target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 0/0 artifact creature. Put 4 +1/+1 counters on it for each artifact that became a creature this way. Wow. And it has overload, which means you literally could lay out a whole bunch of 0 casting cost artifacts, i.e. Moxes, and then on turn 3, overload it, make them all monstrosity huge, and just kill your opponent. So, yeah, somebody's going to try some shenanigans with this hot mess. Anyway, moving on. So here we have the Void Mirror. So it's 2 colorless. It's an artifact, just sits in play as a rare. It says whenever a player casts a spell, if no colored mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. Oh, can you say no Tron, me no like? So this is probably going to be in sideboard for Tron decks. However, Tron do run some colored mana. So it may not be as good as people think it would be against Tron, because all it takes is to spend 1 green mana that's now colored so it doesn't get countered. But it does definitely put a serious crease in Eldrazi decks. It stops things like Chalice and things like that if you get it out fast enough. This could be a thing, although it only is a rare, so I don't see it getting very expensive. This is probably definitely going to be an EDH thing, I believe. Moving on. We have Sarah's Emissary, because that's what that says up here. Anyway, so for 3 white and 4 colors, 7 mana, you have a creature angel with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a card type. You and creatures you control have protection against the chosen card type. And it's a 7/7. Great mythic. Cool card. Will not see play in Modern because it's 7 mana. Unless somebody's going to use the shenanigans that she didn't play. EDH players may find this very fun, and that might drive the price up a little bit. So, moving on. Our next card we have here is Infiltrata Ingenioso, which is also known as the Ingenious Infiltrator. So, blue, black, 2 colorless. It is a Valdalkin ninja, with ninjutsu of blue and black. So, basically, if you guys don't remember, ninjutsu is if a creature attacks and it is not blocked, you can ninjutsu this in its place, and then pick the card up that you ninjutsu it in for and leave this on the field. The best thing about this card is it says whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, you just draw a card. Now it's only a 2/3. It does cost 4 unless you ninjutsu, and then once you do ninjutsu, it has no evasion, so it's not gonna get through again. It's only an uncommon. I don't see anything special with this. Probably gonna be a draft all-star. Probably how far as that goes though. Moving on, we have the Espada di Mori o Hago, or also known as Sword of Home and Health. Hearth, Hearth, Hearth. My bad. So once again, as usual, normal sword, 3 to cast, 2 to equip, and equipped creature gets +2/+2. But this one gives you protection from green and white. Not too shabby. When a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own, then search your library for a basic forest card. Put both cards on the battlefield under your control and then shuffle. Exile up to 1 target creature you own, then search your library for a basic forest card. Put both cards on the battlefield under your control. So if you hit them, you basically get to blink and go get a land. So this is going to be a great addition to the Sword of Animus and all those sweet EDH decks. And probably any EDH deck's going to use this thing because it just says go get land. It says get a basic land. So, yeah, what more could you want in life? Like, that's just phenomenal. So, with that said, guys, we're at the end of the video. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for staying with me and checking out these sweet cards. More to come tomorrow. Spoiler season is in full swing, and I'll have the videos out every day, first chance I get, to give you my insight, my view, and what I have found for what's been spoilered. Spoilered? Blurted? Blah, 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 blah. So, as we move on, guys, remember, in-store play is getting lifted. Let's get out there to our local LGSs. Let's play some games. And as always, let's be a nice, kind environment and support our players. So, this is your captain speaking, and remember, until next time, be kind. And I'll see you in the next video, guys.